Hi everyone. One of the most vivifying and completely life-affirming collections of spiritual writings in the Orthodox Church is found in the collection we call the Gerontikon, or the sayings of the Desert Fathers. Now these Desert Fathers and Mothers were wide and varied, some quite well known today. We only think of St. Anthony the Great, and others are much more obscure. For some of them, we have some very famous sayings that we are going to hear one in just a few seconds here. And others, there are quite a wide collection of sayings, sometimes not even attributable. Other saints have mentioned them in many places, and yet they seem to hover around us without any real clear definition as to who they actually were. Well, most of them resided in the place of today's saint, commemorated on January 8th, named Abba Agathon. Now, he entered what is called Sketis, which is a large monastic settlement which was west of the Nile Delta. There were many, many saints that gravitated to that area in the beginnings of the monastic movement. Abba Agathon, it was found out, was someone who was early on almost considered a saint even at a very young age. He was known for his spiritual discernment, for his passionlessness, for his quietness, and for his ability to really tune into the things of God. Now, as is often the case, these things were challenged by some of the brothers in the area who lived around the great Abba. And so they decided to test him one day because he was known for his patience in all things. So they went to him and they said, "Well, are you Agathon, the whoremonger and boaster?" And the humble man quietly replied, "I am." But they weren't finished. "Well, are you Agathon, the one who talks nonsense and is a slanderer?" And again, the holy elder said, "I am." And then finally, not being satisfied with that, they went one further step and said, "Are you Agathon, the heretic?" And hearing this, Agathon said, "No, I am not." And they questioned him further and said, "Well, you admitted to these other things, yet this last one you deny. Why is that?" And Agathon said, "Well, these other things are for the good of my soul, because it's important to bear these sorts of things, whether true or not. But in the case of heresy, it separates one from God, and that I could not abide." Agathon was someone who not only buried himself in the monastic enclave, but he was also very much active in the world. He went out on one day hoping to sell some wares in the town, some things that he made, because that's how the monks supported themselves. And he went into the town and saw someone that was really, really ill, a completely sick man. And so he sold these things and paid for his medical care and took care of this man and stayed there out of the monastic community for 6 whole months before returning. Another incident happened when he and a number of the monks went to build something. They were going to build some sort of monastic edifices or something in the town. It's a little bit unclear, the story. And he goes and stays there for 4 months. And they had been working all this time. And finally, there was something about the place that disturbed him. And he said, "It's time for us to leave because something is not right here." And the other monks were a little confused by this and said, "Well, wait a minute. We've been here for 4 months working. If we leave now, are people just not going to say, we're jokes somehow, that we can't finish what we started?" And Agathon said, "Better for them to think that than for us to stay. But I believe that they will see that by leaving, we account nothing in this world as more important than the pursuit of God." He said, "Nevertheless, if you wish to stay, you can, but I am going to leave." And upon hearing this, they prostrated themselves before him and said, "No, Abba, we will follow you." Abba Agathon was quite the remarkable man. It was said that he told people that he never went to sleep at night, ever, if there was some sort of conflict or judgment in his mind about someone else. That would have to be resolved or done away with. And he also said that he never let anyone else go to sleep at night if they had something against him. He would resolve all of these things. Finally, when the day of his departure came, he was said to be staring, eyes wide open, for 3 days before. And the brothers looked at him and said, what is going on? And he said, "Please, quiet. I am standing at the judgment of God." And the brothers said, "Well, surely you have confidence. All of your good deeds, the things you have done are going before you." And Agathon said, "No, the judgment of men is one thing. The judgment of God is something altogether different." And then, when the day finally arrived, after those 3 days, he released his soul to God joyfully, as we are told. There is much profit to be found in the reading of the lives of the Desert Fathers, and I would encourage everyone out there to find one of the many, many copies found by many, many publishers and read these wonderful lives, which are usually short, almost set up for daily reading, but undoubtedly profitable for all of us, because the things that they dealt with then are the same things that we deal with today, because although we may have made progress in many, many areas as human beings, our natures remain the same, and our spiritual struggles never seem to change. Bye-bye.